So what happened was in 2019, we talked about this last month. I got to go to France, to Perpignan, and I was the keynote speaker at the Art Deco Festival. So of course we stopped off in Paris and we saw the Egyptian pyramid. Let's see if I can do my annotate here. Okay. And you can see my mouse. The Egyptian pyramid, which is a modern building by IMP, whereas it was built in 1989, he just died last year. Whereas the museum, the Louvre, is the largest museum in the world. And that was originally built as a fortress in the 12th century. So you have the contrast of the new architecture and the old architecture. So in the Louvre, I went to the Egyptian wing. I had no idea I was going to Egypt at the time, right? Because I went to Egypt a year later. But here we saw the mummies and just beautiful artifacts in the Louvre. And I showed you the black and gold last month. And this, I bought this dress in Egypt and it was a little too long and I cut it off and I made a scarf to wear tonight. So I'm wearing green and gold, but the Egyptians love metallic. And this is where I spoke at the Perpignan Art Deco Festival, at the Chamber of Commerce, the beautiful Art Deco building. So where did it all start? Howard Carter discovered King Tut's tomb in 1922. And here we see the Sphinx and we see Howard Carter and we see the camels and the wild Egyptians. And it says, sweeps the secrets of the Sphinx and marvels of the tomb of old King Tut to the modern world. This was a very, very big archaeological discovery. And in the next 3 years, everything became Egyptian. All the rage was Egyptian. And we see this beginning of modernism at the International Exposition des Arts Décoratifs et Industriels Modernes. And someone in 1968 looked back and said, Arts Décoratif, let's call everything Art Deco that happens between 1925 and 1939. Even though it's really what I like to call the beginning of modernism, modern. So this enamorization with the Egyptian discovery, we see everywhere. We see it in California, 1922. Grauman's, not Grauman's Chinese theater, but Grauman's Egyptian theater. And we see the Egyptian figures and the heads and the stepping up like the pyramid. The interiors with rounded corners and all the enamored hieroglyphics. So we went with encounters travel. So how did I even do this? This was my bucket list. And this is the honest truth. I got a Groupon. A Groupon is an email that's not wanted. And it had travel to Egypt, encounter travel. And the price with airfare was so reasonable and meals and everything. I said to my friend Linda Fleetwood, we're going to Egypt. This was around June or July, and we picked to go in November because we thought it would not be too hot, wouldn't be too busy for Christmas time. And we just made plans. At the time we didn't know, but we flew into Cairo and we're gonna take a train all the way down to Aswan and then buses to Luxor and buses to Hurghada, which is the Red Sea, and then fly back to Cairo. We did miss up here is Alexandria, the home of Cleopatra. It was not in the tour, but supposedly it's very touristy and supposedly there's nothing left. There was a Cleopatra library and that had been burnt down in a fire. So we really supposedly did not miss anything. So we arrived in the airport in Egypt. Very exciting. And driving in the bus on the way to the hotel. I mean, like, you just pass the pyramids, like it's the most common thing in the world. We arrive at the hotel late Meridian. It's late at night. And immediately I feel like I'm in an Art Deco palace, right? we just arrived here now in the hotel. No one missed anything. And right now we see this pyramid and we see concentric circles and a grand staircase to the left and to the right. And it's just amazing that we just arrived in the hotel and already, I don't know if it's Art Deco or if it's Egyptian, and I'm just floored. Here we're waiting for our rooms with our other guests. In the morning we wake up and here's our guide. His name is Sherif. And we are in a group of about 14 people. And you can't really see, but I had surgery on my leg and I had a cast. So it was not a good time to go because I had to keep changing the cast morning, noon, and night. And I couldn't carry heavy things, but everybody was wonderful and really helped me, hop along. So we're in the bus and we're driving along and I'm just taking pictures outside the window of my bus and I see modern architecture, these round circles, and I see tall domes, and here I see more bandings drawn on buildings, and I'm very excited. And I see here 1, 2, 3, which we know is Art Deco, and rounded corners, which we know is streamline, and just interesting architecture. I'm not saying that this building is Art Deco, but I'm just in awe, complete awe that that we're in, Egypt. So we passed this building, which I know is clearly modern and Art Deco in this, but it turns out I don't know, but later on I get to return to this area. And of course, this is the Art Deco building. We have the 1, 2, 3s and the stepping up, which we call the zigzag, the ziggurat. And we have the flat roof and we have the octagonal design, the geometric design. And I'm just in my awe. So the very first thing we do, this is not an Art Deco building. The very first thing you do is they take us to the Cairo Museum of Egyptian Antiquities. And we are waiting outside as a group. Everything is very group oriented, almost like social distancing, where we stayed with our group. We had to wait an hour before the tickets came through and it's our time. Very, very professional. These guides are like brilliant people and very caring. So we get into the museum, and what you start to learn about the Egyptians is that they were such an intellectual society. They developed language, they developed medicine, they developed wigs, they developed things for health. They developed so many things that are still in use today. And language is what we see. So these are their religious items, their gods. Their gods had animal heads and things like that. So they have people have very strong beliefs. Now, we know a lot about Egyptian history, which is amazing because it's so long ago, because these are hieroglyphs, these are words, it's written. And we're gonna see that in a moment, but there's like no discrepancy. This tells you the exact story of who, what, where, when, the king, what they did, and all that. So it's very, very interesting how they can, all this rich history. So this is the hieroglyphics chart. And this is the kind of thing that we introduce into young kids when I teach art to kids in elementary schools. We actually have an alphabet. So I could write my name Sharon, there's an SH letter instead of an S. So it's the bar, here's the bar, and the H, where's H? Oh, I didn't highlight, here's the H, oh no, SH, A is the vulture, there's the vulture, R is the mouth, there's the mouth, O is a chick, and the N is the water. Here's N is the water, that's not highlighted. N, and we can see I'm wearing my cartouche on my neck. And this is called an obelisk when you have a tall monolith, which they believe is the creation of the world. So I just Googled Sharon and hieroglyphics and this wonderful image came up, and you can write words and sentences and books all using this alphabet of symbols and images. The most interesting thing to know, because I'm an artist and I teach about art and architecture, is that their use of the body in depicting the body is called frontalism. So what is frontalism? It's stylized, it's elongated. Not everybody in Egypt was thin and tall and gorgeous, but they depicted the images that way. But let's take a look. Nose and feet in profile to the sign. So the nose is in a profile, watch this, a complete profile, and the feet are in profile. But there's a full eye looking, where you see both corners of my eye. Here it is. And the shoulders. So if I'm looking front at you, so you see two shoulders, you can't possibly see my nose in profile. So they made up their own design, and that design is called frontalism. All hieroglyphics are imaged this way. So now in the early 1900s, let's skip ahead to Picasso. He was influenced by African art. Yes, Egypt is in Africa. We don't always connect that. So in 1907, he does Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, and we see the Egyptian eyes, the frontal 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 eyes. But aha, here we see the nose in profile, just like the frontalism of the hieroglyphics. Here's another Picasso where we really see, here's the nose in profile, and now he moves the lips forward and the eyes forward, right? But if I was going to draw this for you right now, this is really where the nose would be, right? So Picasso took a lot of liberties. Oh, I have to turn that one off. Okay. So Art was a famous fashion designer and theatrical designer in the Art Deco era. I'm sure a lot of you know the name Art. He was a Russian designer, and he did many covers for Harper's Bazaar. So here he enamored the Egyptians. And here's more Egyptian from Art. And my favorite of all the gods and goddesses is the female Isis. And she's always depicted with her wings. Here we see Arte using the wings, and the mummy, and the Sphinx, and the central balance. So Egyptian art, Arte had a resurgence in the 1980s when Art Deco and all the Art Deco societies began, as did the Art Deco Society of the Palm Beaches, and Arte was really, really popular. So Egyptian was resurging. And we see these beautiful, beautiful Arte designs from the 20s and 30s, resurge into the 80s, but really they're from the ancient civilization of Egypt. So we're back in the museum, and the first thing Sherif does is start walking like an Egyptian. They're American, they're very Americanized, they're tour guides, and they work very hard. And we're standing in front of the oldest known paper art that has existed. Paper meaning papyrus. The Egyptians discovered how to make paper from papyrus, and paper that has lasted. This is the oldest paper in the world with art on it. And we see all the stylized mummies and sculptures. This museum is tremendous. It's a this is just one lane of 4. It's a big square with 2 floors, and I'm on the second floor just looking down at one hallway, and you can see the scale and beauty of this museum of antiquities. Now King Tut's tomb is there, and this is really a massive piece. This is the first coffin, you might say, or the tomb. This never leaves the museum, whereas we know that the mummy and parts of the things many of you have seen as it's been on travels. But this piece never leaves the museum. And it's like smaller, 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 one into another, like, the shells. All right, then this is in the bigger one. All my people are coming late today. That's all right, we love you. All right. And then this is inside Okay. Now you were not allowed to take this picture. So I illegally took this picture. They had a big sign, do not take these pictures and you can't have your phone and all that. But somehow I snuck a picture. And so here's pictures of Howard Carter discovering the archaeological dig. What's very impressive, and my friend Linda, who traveled with me, she was really intrigued by the mummification of animals, and one whole wing was devoted to the animals. And you see here the coffins and how it's wrapped. So I went in November and I was planning my 65th birthday in January. And we came home and I made a big mummy, which is in my living room, and you put your face in and you were a mummy. And here we are painting it with my friend Sharon White on my patio. And here was the party. Linda dressed up as a Muslim. She's not a Muslim. I dressed up as a princess. And we have Steve Nussdorf and Diane Feen and Karen and her friend Douglas. And we're smoking hookah at my party because that's the way the Egyptians do it, hookah. So we get back on the bus from the museum. And now Sherif is buying us tickets. He goes online, buys the tickets. And then we all go to see the pyramids. Wow. And they're like, even though like our hotel was like, say right there and you could see the pyramids from our hotel, it took about a half hour to get there. You had to drive around and wiggle around. But it's a huge site and it's just amazing. I mean, it's very, very hot, as you could see. And it never rains in Egypt. And 95% of Egypt is sand. So for $1, I bought the hat and the rope to wear on my neck. And when you see the president of Egypt speak, he wears the same one. But it's almost like a line drawn. You see there's like city, and then there's like a road, and then it's like desert. And you'll see this later on where I depict this from the sky, but it's that simple. There's city and then there's desert. It's so amazing when you watch things on the History Channel and they're out there digging, you're like, wow, where are they? Well, they just crossed the line and they're in the sand. I did not go on any of the camels because I had been on camels before. This for me was the most emotional, the most spiritual of the trip. The largest and oldest sculpture known to mankind, the Great Sphinx of Giza. So they have it built. See, there's like a big wall. It's like a big swimming pool, and it's in there. So you cannot get in. There seems to be 2 red lines on my screen. Let me just get that off, please. Clear. Okay, that was ruining my spiritual experience of the Sphinx. It's just to be there, not to see a picture of it, was just amazing. Now you might ask, why is the nose broken off? I seem to remember in college, oh, it was just old and it wore away. No, it was political. They say Napoleon ripped it off, or you know, it was vandalized is the answer why the Sphinx has no nose. And there's birds sitting on there. And as we walk away, one of the guides said, oh, come with me. And I came with him and he said, put your hands, you know, told me what to do. And this is like a standard picture. I think many people have had this on their iPhones, but look, you look like you're on the top of the world here. And we walk back all on this little marketplace to go to the bus, and the sun is setting. So some people get to visit the Sphinx in the morning. Some people go at night. I hear there's lights and fireworks, there's different things going on all the time at these, you know, world tourist sites, these true landmarks. So we had left the hotel, but now they just let us go back just to change our clothing because we had been out all day, and this was the spa of our Le Méridien hotel. And we get on a train, and I have to say it's the only train in Egypt, and it was not pleasant, I have to say. It was pretty horrible. And they said even when the president comes, this is the only train that they travel on, and so nothing we can do about it. But this was the train, but we were still smiling and having a good time. So in the morning, you know, it's a sleepover. You wake up, you're in Aswan. And right away, you start seeing interesting architecture with things stepping behind and little stepping downs. And it says Aswan Tourist Market. And this is my first instance with the lotus, the rebirth, the regeneration, the life, the lotus, the 1, 2, 3, the flower. And I chose this as the theme for my birthday party. In the decorations and in everything that I did, we used the lotus. And you start seeing the most interesting architecture of the 1, 2, 3, the rounded corners, the geometric squares. And again, I'm not saying this is modern or when it was built, but just so interesting for me. And the colors are so bright. So now we get off the bus and we're walking down to the pier, and we're going to have a little boat ride to visit the next world site. And this is where I bought this necklace. Okay. There was not a lot of time for shopping. And it's very, very hot. You could see how hot it is. And we covered our heads because it was so hot. And you could just see, you know, we're Floridians, we know how hot it gets. So a very interesting thing, before I traveled to Egypt, I spoke to my yoga teacher's father, had just come back. And I called him, and he had been there for 3 weeks. We were only going for 2 weeks. And he said, oh, we had a guard with us with all times. And so I thought to myself, well, he must have been on a very fancy tour because we didn't have a guard. And sure enough, we had a guard with us the whole time here. It looks like FBI. He has a gun in there and a holster. They're very stand behind. You don't notice them. And so I got very friendly. We had several different guards, as it turned out, but they're protecting you at all time from anybody that might ask you for money or for anything. Very, very safe. I felt very safe there. And you know, we're visiting these landmarks. They move some of these things. We're not actually going necessarily to the site where they were built. They move a lot of them, so they're not, they don't get hurt from the water and the salt. Here's a very interesting symbol, the Ankh. We call this a surface cross, but it looks like a person's head and 2 arms, but we know it as the Ankh, which means life. And here again, we'll see the lotus flower, which I really just love this pattern. So we get on a boat and we're traveling down the river. We're going to go visit a Nubian village, but we are arriving and see this interesting architecture and all the little cruise ships. The most interesting thing is the Nile. It's kind of like the intracoastal. You think, oh, the Nile. It's just like the intracoastal. It's winding, it's curving. Some places it's a little wider than others, but it's really just a waterway with a bridge, just like we have, you know, Southern Boulevard and Lake Worth Road and Boynton and Delray, literally the bridges that cross over. So the Nile is our intracoastal. And this is our hotel. Grand Hotel, and we're going to go up here. See, this is the elevator, and we're going to go up here and take some pictures. But we're along and seeing the beautiful hotel from the Nile. So we go to the Nubian village. It's still light out, but it's when time we get off the boat, it gets dark. The Nubians are nomads. They settled along the Nile. Everything is along the Nile because that's where the only water is. So the farms, the things that grow are along the Nile, hotels, villages, everything is along, of course, the Nile. And now it's dark the time we get there, and they take us into this house to visit. And there's a baby alligator. So all of the people in our group are like, oh my God, an alligator. I mean, we're from Florida, we're used to seeing alligators, but it was still a lot of fun. Dante put his hand in the mouth of the alligator. I mean, it's a baby alligator. And then there was little children, and I gave them all money. But look how well dressed they are. They're all in their like pajamas, right? Because it's nighttime. They're all wearing matching outfit pajamas. All of them, all the little girls. Look how cute they were, little Egyptian babies. One of the girls got henna put on her hand. I did not, but still quite lovely. Henna is like a tattoo in one color. And then we had dinner in a very strange restaurant, I thought. Didn't look very Egyptian to me. I mean, with primary color triangles on the ceiling. I guess they represent modern pyramids. And it was very well lit on the Nile with wonderful food. Now, I am gluten-free, so every meal they made sure for me was gluten-free. So most of Middle Eastern food is no problem. I just don't eat, quote, the pita bread, but I could have the hummus and the vegetables and the eggplant and the lamb. And for every meal, even when we ate on the bus, Sherif would come over to me personally with a bag of gluten-free food, sometimes better than, you know, maybe the bread and apple everybody else was eating for lunch. So I was really lucky to have such a wonderful guide. So now they get us up like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we probably went to bed at 12. So there's very, very, very little sleeping on an Egyptian tour. I mean, I'm talking really 2 o'clock in the morning to get on the bus by 3. It's maybe, I don't know, 4:30 here. The sun is rising. We're driving 3 hours away. And the reason we were driving is because Abu Simbel is very crowded with tourists. So we were getting here super early so it would not be so crowded. And here you can look at the long shadows from the sun. And we get to this one point and Sharif goes, ladies and gentlemen, he's always saying that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you the most extravagant, when we turn this curve, you will not believe your eyes and what you will see. You know, he was wonderful. And we turn the corner and there we are, that is spelled correctly, at Ramesses II and Queen Nefertari's tomb. Oh my. Now, to go in, if you wanted to take pictures, it was $25 and I gave them $25. It was still the first day, I'm getting smart, but I wanted to take pictures inside this tomb, and you pay the money, and then there's a lot of guards inside there, or, you know, just people who will let you use your iPhone. You have a little badge on you that says you paid the blackmail money. But everyone's just running around and it's just amazing. So it's about 7 o'clock in the morning here. So we beat the crowds. And remember the Ankh I told you about? So they had this key and we took a picture like the mummies. And here we see, this is called the Cartouche. When you have your name in hieroglyphics, it's called the Cartouche. And we start to see the hieroglyphics. And again, with the lotus flower, the papyrus that they make paper from. And you see, look, they're telling the story of the wars and all the things and people who were fallen. And it's really amazing. The ceiling, look at the ceilings are painted and it still exists. It's really just outstanding. So we're back on the bus driving along the Nile, and this says the Nile Cafe. And I want you to look at this shape because it's just like back in 1927, Cartier of Paris made this shape, and he used Isis that we learned about with the wing god, and he put the hieroglyphics down here and a little stepping up and hieroglyphics on the base of the column. What I don't understand is why there's Roman numerals, but why not? Cartier can design whatever he wants. So we're back in the hotel, and look how organized they are. They would have all the luggage, you know, luggage from one hotel to the next hotel to the bus, back and forth. Very, very efficient and just amazing. So from that, let's go back here. From this top, I go up that elevator and I look out one window and there's the desert. And there's more desert there and there's some agriculture. So this is the hotel, the back of the hotel, and I guess some buildings, maybe the laundry of the hotel. And there's the line and it like starts the desert. from the front of that elevator is the Nile and the swimming pool down there. So when you go to Egypt, the big thing is a Felucca ride, a Felucca boat ride. One night you're going to sleep outdoors on a flat boat. Wow, sleeping on a flat boat. So they all line up together and you have to kind of hop on from one boat to get on. They only allowed, I think, 10 or 12 on each boat. And you can't stand on it. You kind of have to like lay down and relax and sit. And this is like where you would sleep. Now here we could see my cast of my leg. So I paid an upcharge and Linda and I did not sleep on the Felucca. We went back to our hotel, which they took us and then had breakfast and then we came back. But it was just lovely. So this is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They feed us an extravagant lunch. And we're just cruising on the Nile all afternoon, finally resting a little bit. And it's nighttime and the road, you know, the bridge is all illuminated and it's beautiful. And now we finally we're gonna go under the bridge to a beach and have a beach party. And they light a fire and we're dancing, we're smoking hookah. This was my first hookah party and they fed us dinner. And it was at that point after the party that we got on a bus. They took us back to our nice hotel and everybody else went and slept on the Felucca, which I'm pretty glad we did not. We wake up in the morning, we get the hotel breakfast and we get on a special bus. We have to go back to the beach to meet the group. So now we're traveling on the bus along the Nile, of course, and we see all this building, this architecture. And it's like, what is this? Because people actually live here. It's not like it's under construction. So we found out, see this, it's called rebar for reinforced concrete. Everything looks like it's not built. Well, what it turns out is, say you're a family and you buy a home and you build a home, and now your children and grandchildren, when they're born and they need a house, you build on another level. And then you put the rebar. The reason you don't build it now is they would be paying taxes on 2 homes. So you lay the foundation for the 2 homes, but you don't build it till your family grows. So you'll see some of these 3 and 4 stories high, meaning all these families are living in these interesting homes that look like they're half built, but are very common in Egypt. And then you'll see just beautiful mosques and tombs like this. I'm not saying this is Art Deco. We're driving through the, not countryside, but we're driving, you know, for hours now to go to our next destination and took pictures of some interesting things. So we go to the temple Edfu. And again, it's very, very hot. And we see, you know, these ruins. There's no place to escape the sun. But just amazing that these things are still standing. More Lotus and the columns. And we see here, the ceiling here was on fire. Maybe 100 years ago, homeless people came and lived there and they started fires and they tried to burn it down. So they don't restore that. That's considered like history. They kind of left that, but you know, just the textures alone were interesting. And here someone took a picture of me, I guess, in the tombs. And again, it's very, very hot and we're on the top level. So now we're on our way to Luxor, which is a big city. And we pass a lot of architecture. And I just love, to me, I love this. This is like a geometric, if you know what a Bargello pattern is, which is like a needlepoint stitch, a pattern, they make pillows. It's just a repetitive geometric, you know, wonderful thing that very modern. And then we see this building with the circles and some glass block. And what I do here is I take a detail of this. I'm asked to write an article for the Australian Art Deco Society magazine called Spirit of Progress for the president of the Art Deco Society in Australia, Robin Grow, and this is edition 78, winter 2019, and I put this on the cover of where you really can see a detail of the ironwork, and of course there's my Lotus. See the Lotus? Okay, so we arrive in Luxor, and we stay at a beautiful hotel called the Steigenberger Nile Palace. So now we're in a city, and we arrive at night, and there's a big courtyard, and now we have a gorgeous room. And we look out, and this is the view from our balcony on the room. There's the Nile, there's the desert on that side, and there's a swimming pool, which I'm a swimmer daily, but because my leg was in a cast, I could not go swimming, which that kind of hurt. But you know, it looks like palm trees. It looks kind of like the same similar things that we see here in Florida. So we had like an hour before we had to catch the bus. So I covered my head with a scarf, and Linda, I said, let's just walk around the block on our own. Let's go see what's out there. And what I discovered, in just walking around the block, I can write an entire book on the gateways, the doorways of Luxor. Just look at the ironwork, which we saw in Perpignan as well, in France last month. All this gold and black ironwork. Bookshop. And here's some rounded corners. This is a new modern apartment building. Incredible artwork where we'll see 1, 2, 3s. We see diamonds, we see swirls. Here we see a little zigzag, right? A little ziggurat. That's incredible. Look at the ironwork there, little zigzags. And I'm not saying what year this is built. I don't know. I'm just fascinated with the ironworks of all of these doorways. This kind of looks like peacock, like almost from the Art Nouveau era, but then the straight lines tells us Art Deco. Here's something with a little red. More ironwork with circles and diamonds. And you know, I don't know what these numbers mean. And things look like they need a painting or a pressure washing. And this is certainly not Art Deco. Although, look, there's your Lotus. This could be very Egyptian. More ironworks. More ironworks. Just walking around the block from our hotel at the Steigenberger. Wow, look at that. That's one fancy building next to a poor building. Everything looks a little rundown. Egypt is a very dirty country, if I didn't mention that. They say it's a dirty country, and it is. It's not a pristine thing you'd want to eat off the floor of. But just, I'm fascinated with all the geometry and the design. Ooh, swirls. And also with the Arabic writing. Now this is definitely, you know, Egyptian, or we would say Art Deco. All this looked Art Deco to me, but yet clearly Egyptian, all these patios. So there I am taking a picture. Linda took a picture of me for the end of the visit. And we even found a little shop that was open selling some spices. So this is the hotel next to us, which I had to run in. Linda took a cigarette break. You can see the opulence of the tourism, the stepping down and the stepping up. And my favorite Lotus is on the chair, on the ironwork, on the etched glass, on the front of the chair. Then we returned back to our hotel in the open atrium where Sherif and other people in our group, Linda's head is still covered from our little walk. And I thought we were going for dinner, but we stopped off before dinner at the Temple of Karnak. And this is the best thing to see at night. Look at how it's illuminated and I mean, I'm so glad that we got to see some things at night and some things during the early morning hours. But this is an obelisk, which is, again, the creation of life. And as we're walking through, I said, wow, if this was in Palm Beach County, this would be a great place for weddings and events. Like there should be big parties there every night. I guess there is a party there every night. Just outstanding lighting and so many pictures to be taken. This is looking straight up in between at the columns. And it's just, I'll say the word awesome. And just before dinner, we get to see, it's called the Avenue of the Sphinx. And this was not illuminated, so the picture is kind of dark. But the Avenue of the Sphinx, these are small Sphinx, maybe, maybe 12 foot, not the largest sculpture in the world. But it leads up, such grand design. So now we finally give us dinner. It's about 11 o'clock at night, and we have this buffet at this Georgina, and I guess Linda's hungry. But it turned out she got deathly sick from dinner, throwing up and deathly sick. And we had dinner at 11, so we got back to the hotel about 1. And at 2:30, we paid extra money to go on a hot air balloon. And I did not think she would make it. But being the trooper she is, you have to walk on a little plank to get onto the boat. So this is 2:30 in the middle of the night to go to the hot air balloon ride, which is a once in a lifetime thing in Egypt. How could you not? So now it's 3 a.m. and they take a video, which they sold for $20, which of course I bought on a DVD. Oh my God, an actual video. There's some footage that's standard, but actual video of us and this whole ordeal. Look at our pilot. He looks like a rock star, Rick James. He looks like a reggae star. Here she is taking the video. I don't know how they were so organized to know who you were and how to get you on the video, but it was outstanding video. And this is not made up. This is what you see when you're in a hot air balloon in Egypt. So we're in a basket, I think it was like 8 people, and we're really kind of, and in the middle is the pilot. You're not allowed to bring a camera, because if the camera were to fall off, you're allowed to use your phone, but all cameras were forbidden, because if the camera fell out of the basket, you'd be in trouble. So one way you looked, you saw desert. And one way you looked, you saw some buildings, some road. And there's the one, look, there's green, no green. I still can't even believe it. So they might have been just digging over here, where we see it on TV, where they're digging. One of these places was where Howard Carter's home was, because he built a home in the desert for the archaeological dig. So just look, when you're looking beneath the basket, you see all the very dense population of homes, then green, and then desert, and then horizon. Just amazing. And here we're going to be going here next. We can see this is one of the landmarks. You see everything from the sky. I think right here is where Howard Carter's home for the archaeological dig was. So look, here you see the greenery, the city, the desert, mountains. You see it all. Woo! So as we start to go lower, you start to see people in their houses, in their little atriums. These are the flat roofs. And look, someone's hand is in the basket. It looks like a giant. But I'm in a basket taking pictures. And of course, there's the make room for the next stories. Getting lower. And then we crash down right by the cars. I mean, they know where to pick you up right away and get you right out right out there. So of course I gave money to the girls. Do I have pictures of the girls? No, I don't. There were little girls there and little boys. And I said, wow, it must be so hard to be an Egyptian little girl. So I gave the little girl dollar bills. And we arrived back at our wonderful hotel by 8 o'clock in the morning to have a marvelous, buffet breakfast of gluten, which of course I did not eat. I eat all the other good stuff. And here's someone carrying my bags for me, thank God. When we get on a smaller bus this time, there's Sherif. And everywhere we go now, when we arrive, they have models, three-dimensional models. This is a sculpture of where we're going to go. So this is a sculpture to the entrances to the Valley of the Kings in Luxor. Looks like it's made of plexiglass. So Linda had thrown up and gone on a hot air balloon. She was dying. So Sherif had to hold her up literally the whole day. She did not really participate or go in the tombs because you have to walk through the tombs, to the entrances, and it's pretty hot. And she rested. And this is it, just an entrance to the tomb is like here. There's very little shade. And there was a group of little young boys from school. Oh, American, American. Of course, they were so happy to see me, and I took a picture of them as I walked into a tomb. So you walk into a tomb, and what I learned to do, watch this. I can take, these are my fingers. Oh, that's my head and my hat. I could take a selfie of the ceiling, holding my phone straight up and looking down. So I'm looking, that's the ceiling. Now this tomb was very unusual because of the bright colors. Right up until now we saw black and terracotta, but this tomb had colors. So all of the places we went to, Sherif would go online and buy us tickets. Okay, so in this case, it was the Al-Bahari Temple in Luxor. These are all called World Heritage Sites. And we saw this from the hot air balloon. See, here's the picture of it. So we're now going to be visiting what we saw from the hot air balloon in the middle of the desert, a World Heritage Site. And here we are walking. Now at this point, Linda is like dead and she just stays on the bus and takes a nap. So I walk along, and at some point leaving, I get lost from everybody. And I ask some other guide, and they all know each other, and on their cell phones, they found me, Sherif, in my group, because I think I was looking down where I was walking and I just lost everyone, lost in Egypt. But wow, you see, this you'll see all the time if you watch the History Channel. And you get to see all this colored stuff. And just amazing how it's in the rock. And now we reach the top level and we're all kind of hot. And everybody here is a real trooper. Look at some of these people wearing canes and just amazing. And we see, again, the colorful hieroglyphics. So we get out of the landmark and we want to go buy a drink. So we go into a little convenience store. That's Dante's mom, by the way. She's from Brooklyn. Wait, hold it. Let me go back. She just called me on the phone to see how I'm doing from Brooklyn in the pandemic. And we get on the bus. Here's a little convenience store. We bought a drink. It's an Art Deco building, right? Look at the brick and the flat roof and the rounded corners and the central verticality, the mirror. Now we're going to Karnak Temple in Luxor. They just keep you going. There's just no stopping. Here is the model, a giant model of where we're going to have to walk through. And here we go. So I think Linda was up for this. I think it's about 5:30 at night now. And I just saw one of these TV shows where they found one of the pieces to one of these Sphinx, which was very, very exciting. And they're still digging. There's so much to be found in Egypt, and they're still uncovering pieces, a foot, a toe. You know, they use DNA now and they can tell where it belongs and where it goes. And they're just discovering things all the time. And this also had a lot of Art Deco feel to it, even though, of course, we're in Egypt. But the rounded hieroglyphics and the bandings, like the 1, 2, 3, the bandings that Art Deco borrows. And all of these are telling the history. These are all words. Again, the obelisk. And we are now going to go to the Red Sea, to Hagurda. We stop off on the way. We made a little pit stop. And we arrive at the very extravagant, the Sunrise, the Royal Makati Aqua Resort, the water resort. And it's about 11 o'clock at night. And the first thing they do is they serve us drinks. Now let's talk about this. In Egypt, there are no bars. They do not drink alcohol. They might have alcohol in, like this hotel had all the free drinks because it's a tourist guest place. Other places might have beer or wine, but Egyptians don't drink alcohol. So there's no bars to go hang out in. I guess they go to hookah places, but very, very interesting. So these are beautiful drinks, but they're alcohol free. The other thing is there are no Jewish people in Egypt. It's not like there's a Jewish section or a Jewish synagogue. I asked Sherif, and he said, no, there are really no Jewish people. So I felt kind of interesting that I was the Jew in Egypt. We had to get on a golf cart to get to our room. This was a city where we were staying. Here is the Red Sea, which again, I could not go into because I had a leg cast, but the Red Sea and all this amazing, all you could eat. It's like a Club Med. All the drinks are free, all the food is free. You could eat in any restaurant you want. It's just huge. So this is the first room they gave us, which we traded out. It was too far, but you could see the very the whiteness, and everything is in the turquoise. And this was the view. We didn't like the view. I mean, it was 11 o'clock at night and we're tired. And what kind of view is this out of our window? We found out in the morning, it was the water slide to the pool. And there were many pools. It was just an amazing place. I went and got a spa, a massage, which was extra, but I needed it. Linda went walking on the beach, and the beach, there were many different other hotels on the beach as well. This is the Red Sea where things float. And just walking along, just beautiful. And I come across these guys who are having lunch, and he said, there are no even Americans here. In fact, in the lobby, they have all these different clocks, like London time and Russia time, Germany time, different time. There's no United States clock, like what time it is in New York. Americans do not come to this resort. This is a resort for Europeans and Middle Eastern. Very interesting, and the camels are on the beach. But it's amazing, everybody speaks English. So there are many, many shops there, and this is a beauty shop. I bought some beauty cream. Look at the smoking shop. Smoking can damage the sperm and decreases fertility. Smoking kills. Smoking harms you and others around you, right? We have like a little warning. They have big warnings. So it was Dante's birthday, and they made him a cake, and they came and sang happy birthday. This was the big buffet area where there were many private restaurants. We all had we met at 7 o'clock, had birthday cake. And we get on the plane back to Cairo. And this is the Cairo airport with beautiful artifacts right there, geometric patterns, very modern area. And now we stay in the city. Whereas the first time when we arrived in Cairo, we stayed by the pyramids so we can see the desert. Now we're in the heart of the city, and I'm taking pictures off the bus, rounded corners, the bandings. This is clearly a modern Art Deco kind of building. and we stayed at the Cairo Sheraton Hotel. And it was brand new. And what was so amazing to me was, look, you see this Swiss cheese, this kind of pattern? Well, we have that. This is the walkway. We have that right here in Delray. They just built the Delray Beach iPic movie theater on Federal and Atlantic. In fact, I think they just went bankrupt. But this is contemporary architecture. I'm going to go back. This is actually what we call mid-century modern, which comes after Art Deco. Art Deco is the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Mid-century modern is the 50s and 60s. So we're having a resurgence now of mid-century modern, which they sometimes call MI-MO. M-I for mid and modern, mo. Mid-century modern is MI-MO, or some people call it MIMO. And we stay here at the Sheraton. And look at the modern carpeting in the hotel. And out our window, we're in a dense city. Okay, now this is very interesting that I didn't mention yet. There's no lines on the highway. There's no yellow lines and bicycle lanes and double lines and white lines. And we'll see this later more obviously, but they just drive wherever they want. Here we see the stepping up like the pyramid, and sure enough, this is called the Pyramisa. And I'm still in the bus, and they're just, I couldn't believe this triangular building, so I took a picture of it. And Linda goes on a tour where they're going to go visit the churches. And I said, you know, I'm going to go walk alone. I want to see what's in the city. And I had no idea, but outside the hotel, outside the Sheraton, is the bridge that crosses the Nile right to the modern Art Deco building that I had first had my eye on a week prior. So how do you cross the street? There's no signs, there's no, cars are racing by like you would not believe, and I could not cross the street. I kept trying and trying, and I stopped this nice couple, and I said, could you please help me cross the street? Which they did. You have to kind of just stop the traffic. And I took a picture of them. Anyway, here we see the 1, 2, 3. We see the tower that looks like a spaceship. Here we see the rounded corner. This is some kind of ticket booth. And here's a close-up. It's in disrepair. It needs a little pressure cleaning. But what I did when I came home, I was able to Google this and actually see these buildings. And it's a big cultural center. The opera house is there, and a museum is there, and the cultural buildings are there. It's an enormous cultural center, and that building was part of it. Although I didn't walk to the right, I walked to the left along the Nile. So I passed the gateway, and now I'm on the other side of my hotel, and I see this building, which I had seen earlier, and I got better pictures. And I'm just, so here's the Nile, and I'm just walking with the Nile, but on this side of the road. And we see how dirty the buildings are. But here we see Art Deco portholes. So all these apartment buildings are probably built in the 30s, because really they have the reinforced concrete, and now you can start building skyscrapers. You can't have buildings that are that old, apartment buildings, without the technology that we had from the machine age. So here I get a closer look of that building with the flat roofs and the 3 tiers. And now these are just along the walkway. See, here's when along the Nile, you would go downstairs. It might be a restaurant, or it might be where you get on a boat. These are just samples. These are not Art Deco, just samples of all the gateways down to the Nile. Now this is Art Deco. We know that because we see 1, 2, 3, the stepping back. We see the little pyramid shape up here. Okay, we see the metal work, the 1, 2, 3, the iron work, the octagonals. And here we see the 1, 2, 3, the waves, the 3 waves. And this is the Unilateral Declaration of Egyptian Independence signed by Great Britain. So Great Britain had occupied it, but in 1922, Egypt became independent. And this building and sculpture relates to that. And here we see a close-up of the tall kind of skyscraper building. So I'm just walking along the Nile. I don't know where I'm going. I'm off on my own merry way, all alone. I have my head covered, so nobody will question me who I am or what I'm doing. And I'm just having a good old time, right? And then, of course, I do come across another walkway. But we see here octagons, and we see this kind of geometry. We see here the little stepping up of the pyramid, and here the stepping up of the pyramid. We see a close-up of it. Again, those rounded buildings, those concentric circles, and stepping up, and a lot of advertising, big economy, Egypt. It's a beautiful building, a little federal kind of design here. And here we see like an inverted pyramid, and of course more gateways. This is the most interesting thing I've ever seen. Look at this. It's like extended patios. They're rounded and they're extended and they're multi-layered and very unusual. I can't imagine what it's like being inside and then walking out with letting the sun in. So I now, would like to go to the ladies' room, but this restaurant did not have one. And this was like the only restaurant I had passed. And this was the place to be. Everybody was eating in the street. It was packed with people, but they were not telling me, how could you have a restaurant without a ladies' room? So I kept walking. At this point, I had walked over back to the other side. So everyone was going inside this building. It turned out it was a hospital. I come across this little mosaic work, and I say, I must go in here. There must be a bathroom in here. It was a beautiful hotel. And on the 9th floor, I could get coffee with the Egyptian mosaic. Now this is very 60s. And sure enough, it says 1964. This is, look, this mosaics we see in Fort Lauderdale on Federal Highway. We see big mosaic buildings. So I go on the 9th floor. I'm all alone because it's about 12 o'clock. And I see the whole view of the Nile and the buildings. And they bring me a nice cappuccino, and I freshen up in the ladies' room. And I'm tired, and I've been walking 2 hours. How am I going to get back? Well, they were nice enough. This is the view there, but they were nice enough to call me an Uber from my phone. The Uber came and picked me up and took me straight back to my hotel. The ride took about 20 minutes. And when I got back to New York, on my bill, on my credit card bill, it cost $1.01 with the tip to take me 20 minutes back to my hotel. It was worth it. And look at all the cars are like all over the place. There's no street signs. So I get back to the hotel and everybody was waiting now. They came back from the church tour, and the jeweler at that restaurant where Linda had gotten sick, there was a jeweler selling cartouches, with custom make a cartouche to your name, but I didn't get to buy them because Linda was sick. But he allowed me to order one and brought it back that night. So he custom made it and brought it back to me that night. So this is, one of the people in our tour. And this was the craftsman jeweler. So we go to the next stop, and the next stop we pass the Sphinx Hospital, the little Art Deco building with some banding and some octagons shaped here and flat roof. And we go to the Temple Flower Essence. And we all go inside, and it's beautiful. It's all glass flowing perfume bottles. And they teach us about oils, and they let us smell the oils. And then we are allowed to purchase oils, and they pack them up so we can take them home with us in our luggage. And they feed us. We have, plantains and fried potatoes and just wonderful food to eat. And there I am with my friend from Brooklyn and my friend Linda, and we just don't know what to buy first. Everything is so beautiful. Look at this, no lines in the street. We're in a big bus. We're heading to a market now. And look at this, there's no lanes, just wherever way you want to drive. So we get off and go to this huge market. It's open all night. And we walk through a tunnel following Sherif. And everyone goes and sits outside and has a drink. But I frantically know that I'm having a 65th Egyptian birthday party, and I run and buy favors for everyone. I spend hundreds of dollars. I buy pens and bookmarks and cigarette lighters and all kinds of things to give out as favors for my party. And so we meet the group. They're all sitting here comfortably. I'm the only one who spent hundreds of dollars. And now we go have dinner at the Zayed Hotel. And here we see the architecture in the hotel. Again, you don't know if it's new or if it's old or if it's ancient, but it's just amazing everywhere. And they had Egyptian 7-Up. And hookah. A hookah man is called a shisha man. See, he has his shirt says shisha man. And he just comes over and says, would you like some hookah? And it was so relaxing and so much fun and so Egyptian. And here I am, this is my long hair. Look at the pilot going home to take us back to America. And on the plane, I watched a black and white movie called The Artist. It won the Best Picture Award in 2012. And it's Art Deco, and they're tap dancing, and they have the Egyptian background. And I just thought, how appropriate for us to end our journey together. So I want to thank you all for coming. Remember, if you want to email me, talk to me, buy a book, anything, just sharondelray@gmail.com. Please stay safe and wear your mask. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? Has anyone else been to Egypt lately, or anybody going? I know John Fariello was going to go, and then the COVID came. So
I was there 4 years ago, November 4 years ago, and I made comments all along. It brought it all back. It was the most wonderful trip I have ever taken.
Thank you. Okay, I'm not alone.
I was there in 1986.
Wow, wonderful. I mean,
There for like 10 minutes.
I don't know if it's the safest place to go now or when, but I'm so glad I went. I'm just glad I went.
It was one of the best trips.
Here, I'm wearing my cartouche. See?
Yes, me too.
Sharon, when I was there, you were allowed to go into King Tut's tomb.
Yeah, I was in King Tut's tomb also.
Wow. You allowed 3. Our ticket had 3. And maybe we could have gone to King Tut's tomb. Maybe it was extra. But you know, Linda was sick and I was tired. The funny thing was, I had seen on television where people went into pyramids and they're crawling and it's hot.
Yeah.
And I'm claustrophobic. So before I went, I was saying, I don't know why I'm going to Egypt. I'm not going to go in the pyramids. I'm not going to go in the pyramids. But it turned out only the young kids go in the pyramids. No one goes in the pyramids. It's the tombs where you walk in very nicely and they're well lit that you went into. I didn't know that. I thought I was going to crawl into a pyramid, which was not going to happen. So anybody crawling into a pyramid, it would have been interesting, but
My whole group went into the pyramids.
oh my
I
God.
didn't, because the lights had gone out. So they
Yeah.
had to use their phones in order to have any kind of light. I said, no, that's not.
I
for me."
would have freaked out.
Sharon, what tour group did you use?
Encounters Travel, but it was a Groupon. It was literally, Groupon had this deal. It was just ridiculous. It was just
Interesting.
and
I've
then
never
I
heard
bought
of
all
that.
the extras, but I think it was like $1,200 with the airfare, with the food, and maybe with the extras, it came out to $2,000 a person for
Wow.
2 weeks. For 2 weeks.
Interesting. Encounters. Thank you.
Yes, I would recommend them highly. they were really treated you unbelievably well. Not one complaint did I have.
And decent hotels, obviously.
Everything was 5-star except the train, but that was beyond their control.
Right.
Everything was 5-star hotel, 5-star.
Sounds good to me. Thank you so much. Loved your lecture.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
We still have, look, we still have 3 here. Hi, Timothy. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Barbara. Hi, I don't want to miss anybody that I know.
Thank you.
It's hard for me to see everybody. Who's on this page here? Ellen, it keeps moving. Sue Revy, you made it. Yay, Sue. Ellie, hi, Ellie.
Hey, Sharon.
Hi. Jill Berger, Jill from New York. I love this, that people from New York can participate, people from California. I've learned now, I keep writing Eastern Standard Time. And you know what's crazy? With the lecture I'm giving Sunday, it's the time change. So, hi, Mary Hall, hi, Ronnie. When you say Eastern Standard Time, it changes to EDT, Eastern Daylight Time. The whole time on Sunday is messed up. That's all I could say. And there's a lecture I want to attend in India. Well, that's 10.5 hours tomorrow, and it's March 14th at 5 o'clock their time. I couldn't figure it. It's like 7 in the morning. I don't think I'm going to make it, but I signed up for an Art Deco India lecture for free. March 4th. If anybody wants to know about that, I can send you the link. On Sunday, maybe it's like 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. in the morning, India Art Deco.
Anyhow,
Maybe,
it was
maybe they'll record it and we can watch it at another time. That would be great. And hope everybody's getting their second shot. I got my second shot and I'm feeling okay now. It's just crazy what's going on, but it feels like there's light at the end of the tunnel, perhaps. 1 year, I give it 1 more year. No rush, there's no rush. We made it this far, right? What's the rush? Let's keep up the good work, everybody. And in a few months, we'll all be able to meet in person. That's how I feel. So.
Thank you, Sharon. It was great.
Thank you. Good to see you, Mary.
Yeah. See you next month.
Say goodbye.
Yeah, sure.
Good night,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you, Sharon.
So again,
Hi, Sharon.
this Sunday is artinthealley.org. Artinthealley.org. I'm giving a lecture never seen before. I didn't even finish doing it. A decade of Art in the Alley, which is a community project in Delray Beach that's going on for 10 years. And we ended last year, March 1st, with Art Deco in the alley. One day everyone paints and one day everybody parties. So we partied March 1st, and then the next weekend they shut down the St. Patrick's Day parade. And by the next weekend, nobody left the house. So I feel March 14th is a very, very, it's going to be like a spiritual holiday for all of us. And I'm giving the lecture on that day.
What time?
Sunday at 7.
Okay. Thanks.
Go to, you know what? I'll put the link on Art Deco as well.
Okay,
The
good.
link right now is on artinthealley.org. Or just Sharon Del Rey @gmail. Just email me, Sharon Del Rey @gmail. And I want to thank Charlotta so much. She runs the meeting and she does such a great job from Valencia. So I don't have to host and let everyone in. She kind of let everyone in. And thank you even for the people who came late. We love you, even if you can't make it. It's hard to be on time. Isn't it amazing in your own house? It's so hard to be on time.
Especially if you're retired.
And my dog, I want to thank my dog Buffy for being a complete angel. She was a lunatic and she's sleeping right over there. She didn't bother us once. So that's great. And we also want to thank the Armory Art Center, because normally we would be at the Armory Art Center, Art Deco, second Wednesdays. Then we'd all go to Howley's, right? First we'd have cake and wine, and then we go to Howley's and have dinner, and everything would be so nice. So I miss that, because when I turn this off, I'm like, now what am I going to do? How are you, Trapanis? How's the new house? You all settled in? You're there a while already.
Yeah, we're here.
All settled in?
It's good.
I could see some things behind you.
Yeah. That's
So,
fun.
So the big news is that the Art Deco World Congress in 2023 is coming to Florida. And we're going to be doing the pre-Congress. And now they just changed the dates on me. But it's before Mother's Day. It's going to be like April 28, 29, and 30 in Palm Beach County. And then it'll be a week in Miami, the Congress. And then the post-Congress will be like Winter Park to see the Art Nouveau, Morse Museum and things like that. So I'm going to set up a whole schedule of events for 48 hours in Palm Beach County in May 2023, which means I won't sleep for 2 years till I plan that. How are you, Ron Gelb? How are you?
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Sharon. Thanks for the show.
It's good to see everybody. Everybody's hanging in there. What? I don't even know what time it is. Oh, there's the clock. Look at that. You know, I try to really talk fast because people only want to stay on so long. Look at that. Okay, it's only 8:24.
I'm going to say good night. Buenas noches.
Say good night. Keep in touch with the email, Sharon Del Rey.
Okay.
Hi,
Will
Lori.
do.
It was your birthday the other day. The Lori's. Happy
Lori?
birthday.
Sharon, how are you doing? Greetings from Chicago.
Yes, from Chicago. Is it cold and snowing there?
No, it snowed and then we got 3 or 4 days of 60 degrees and the
Wonderful.
snow's melting.
Excellent. But it was your birthday, wasn't it?
Well, I had it
February.
yeah.
Yes. Well, that,
There's Carlene, your pal from
Hi,
Argentina. Hi. Great
So good.
talk. Thank you.
so good to see. I'm going to be doing Buenos Aires, April 28th.
I marked it down.
Yes, I'm going to do
Karen,
April
yes.
28th, Buenos Aires. So I really have a busy calendar. It's very busy.
That's how you stay so young and vivacious, Sharon. Keep it up. It was a great
Thank you.
talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was fabulous. Thank
Yeah.
you. Could you
Yeah.
have Charlotta send the website so that we can get the Zoom for Sunday?
The website, the
that we
website is Art Deco, and then PB for Palm Beach, artdecopb.org.
And that's it? And then we'll be able to get the sign up and get,
All the links are there, the links,
wonderful.
and all the links for all the lectures.
This was so interesting and you're such a fabulous, enthusiastic speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's saying
Thank
that?
you.
Thank you. Who's saying that?
Meryl, you know
Meryl.
what? I was having dinner, so, okay.
Oh, is that Meryl? Thank
Now you
Meryl.
can see me. I was having dinner while you were chatting, so I didn't want people to see me.
I
eating.
understand.
Hello.
Thank you so
I
much.
so enjoyed it. Thank you.
Hi, Meryl.
Thank you.
Hello.
I definitely show things that you don't see every.
All right, so once again, so it's artdecopb.org.
.org.
Okay, thank you.
artdecopb.org. And I'll have all the links live on that website. I'll make sure I'll do that later or tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you so
7
much.
p.m. 7 p.m. Sunday, April 28th, 7 p.m. I think it's a Wednesday. And my calendar's getting all crazy. So how is Dr. Watson? Anybody see Dr. Watson? He's a wonderful speaker.
Okay.
No? All right, well then I'm gonna sign off too.
Thank you. Thanks
Good night,
again.
everyone.
Good night,
Any more
everybody.
questions?
Sharon.
Hi, Rose.
Hi. Thanks, Sharon. It was a great talk.
Good night.
Okay, thank you.
Good night, Bonnie.
Good night, Charlotte.
Bye-bye, all right.
Good night, John Boy.
I'm gonna hit leave. Wait, before I hit leave, I have to hit stop recording.